right, hello and welcome to the AWS Observability webinar. Just give a couple seconds for people to populate in here and then we'll dive right in. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are joining us from today. My name is Katie Gray. I'm a product marketing manager at Sumo Logic, and I focus on our observability product line. I've been working in this space for, 5 to 10 years, depending on exactly what you count, and in telecommunications and before that. So have a lot of experience in this space, and I'm really excited to be working at Sumo Logic. We have a pretty exciting product feature or solution to show you today. So let's go ahead and dive into that. So this is our agenda for today of what we're going to cover. I'm going to go over a quick intro of Sumo Logic for those of you who are totally new, and that'll just be very, very brief. And then we'll get right into our solution today covering AWS Observability. So we'll talk about what are the challenges we're really trying to solve with the solution and how our solution addresses those. And then we're going to spend the majority of our time going through a demo of the product, looking at a couple scenarios of how you can use the product to solve issues and identify the root cause. And then I'll talk a little bit about how you can get started, and then have time for Q&A at the end of the session. Okay, so this is a great overview slide of Sumo Logic. I like to think of our product as extremely extensible and very flexible, but really we have also these solutions that kind of take into account all of the things that you can do with Sumo Logic and give you a really pinpoint solution to solve your very specific problems. So we can ingest data from just about anywhere, full stack across security, across your apps and services, your servers on-prem or in the cloud. And as that data comes into Sumo Logic, we provide analytics on that data and then can send that out to your various teams. And so our solution is really broken out into 3 different buckets. One is operational intelligence. We also have security intelligence and then business intelligence. Where we're going to be focusing today is that operational intelligence bucket. And just a little bit about our platform as a whole. We are a continuous intelligence platform, and we ingest logs, metrics, traces, and events. And we have over 2,000 customers. We perform over 30 million searches per day for those customers and analyze and ingest 800 petabytes of data every day. So pretty massive scale. Some of our customers here at the bottom, Visa, Marriott, USA Today, Airbnb, so forth. And then, the value of our solution really comes from the ability to be so flexible, ingesting data across multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, on-premise. And we are one single platform for all of these use cases. We have a cloud economics model that makes it really flexible to ingest and store data based on your use cases. And then our pricing is based on data ingestion. And we pride ourselves on a super fast time to value. So we provide you with a ton of content out of the box so you can get up to scale or up to speed quickly. And then, of course, all of the security attestations that you might expect. Okay, so let's talk about our AWS observability solution. What are we really trying to solve for? When we look at our customer base, around 60% of our customers actually use AWS services or AWS infrastructure exclusively for their application. And across that, we looked at what services within AWS are our customers actually using. From 2019 to 2020, the number of services that our customers used actually jumps from 15 to 26 as the median number of services used by an enterprise, which is a pretty staggering number for us to see really extensive use case across all of the various services that AWS has to offer. And these are the top services that our customers are using over here on the right. And within that, one of the things that is challenging for our customers is getting high-level visibility about what's happening with their application as a whole. So oftentimes you're using many, many services. How do you roll that up and get that high-level visibility into what's happening with your application? In addition to having many services, most of our customers operate in more than one region and also have more than one AWS account. So you might have a production account or a dev or staging account, all that you want to get the same type of visibility for. So our solution is really aimed at addressing these challenges of siloed data and very distributed data sets across your AWS services. So how do we bring all of that together? Finally, the last piece of the puzzle is that these modern application architectures are complex, and they're getting even more complex. We talked about the 26 different services that our customers use on average. And oftentimes when there is an issue in these modern application architectures, it's not just one service that is telling you there's a problem at a time. What we see is a lot of services yell at the same time that they're having a problem and shoot out those alerts at the same time. So how do we make it easier to identify what the actual root cause is as all of these services are all giving us alerts? So we'll look at how the solution makes it easier to kind of track down what are the interdependencies of these various services, and how do we quickly identify what happened first and second, and then so forth. So those are the kind of the key challenges that we're trying to address with our solution here. And it's broken out into these pillars. So the first one is this high-level observability of your solution set. The second is quickly getting to the root cause. So we have a root cause explorer that's aimed at that challenge. And the third piece is that fast time to value. All of the dashboards and alerts that we give you out of the box to get started in these services. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the product. We can always jump back and talk about any of these things in more detail. Okay, so I've gone ahead and logged into Sumo Logic. For those of you who aren't familiar, this is the home screen. And I've gone ahead and opened up a new Explore tab. And this is already has AWS Observability installed. So I'm ingesting data from CloudWatch and CloudTrail across multiple accounts here. I actually have 4 different AWS accounts that I'm monitoring. And within each one, I can drill down into the multiple regions. And then within those, the different services that are being monitored as well. So here I'll take a look at our production account. And here, again, I'm getting that rolled up information across all of the services and regions within this account. So here we can see incoming activity. I can see the high-level data for my load balancer, API gateway, Lambda errors, EC2, RDS, DynamoDB. And this is all out of the box information that we're just automatically grabbing and rolling up for you in these dashboards. So if I wanted to dive in and look at a particular service, say I wanted to check on EC2, here you'll notice now that the dashboard is giving me information specific to what would be useful to know about my EC2 instances. So here I'm seeing instances with high CPU or instances with high memory utilization, also instance types, average CPU utilization, and then some time series graphs here at the bottom to kind of track trends over time. If I wanted to explore an instance that had high memory, all I would do is click on that, and then it brings up this panel on the right. And you'll notice here that I'm getting prompted to jump to different dashboards here. So I can actually pivot from the logs, or sorry, from this high CPU metric to logs associated with the same instance. And that's because as the data is coming into Sumo Logic, we're paying very close attention to the metadata and tagging all of that data so that we can pivot between the different types of telemetry that are being ingested. I can also pivot to related dashboards. And here I can actually pivot to this particular instance. So I'll go ahead and click that. And here you'll see I have a bunch of EC2 instances. It's brought me to that one that I was interested in from the overview page. And now I'm getting the summary metrics for a single EC2 instance. And again here, tons of out-of-the-box content. So that metric I was looking at was a high memory use case. So here I can jump to, tell me everything that's going on with memory for this EC2 instance. And now it's really easy to drill down into what's happening. So let's take a look at another example here. Say if we take a look at Lambda. Once again, now getting information specific to Lambda, like the caller locations, invocations for today versus yesterday and last week. And then you'll also see success and failure, and actually see that I have a lot of errors here. And so this might be something that gets my attention and that I want to understand a bit deeper. So what I can do, here's actually see here the success versus failed requests. And I can see which one, oops, couldn't click that, is actually this get billing info. So what I can do is filter by that function name. And then it goes ahead and filters the entire dashboard by get billing info. And I can see that quite a bit of the errors that I was seeing was actually associated with that. That was the highest one that I saw. So how do I continue to explore what might be happening there? Here I can see most frequent function operations. And so we have invocation events, list functions, and we also have some code update function configuration events. So if I want to explore this further, I can go ahead and open this in search. And now we're getting down to the raw logs that are coming through. And again, keeping in mind all of the metadata is linking the metrics and the logs. So it makes it really easy to pivot back and forth between these two. And I can jump over from aggregates to the messages here to see the raw messages. And I was interested in those event names. So I can go ahead and click here and look at just the two update function configuration events. And now I can get, this is as deep as you can go here. You can see exactly what user made that change. So Mark Smith here, and all of the request parameters. And so it makes it really easy to identify that Mark Smith made a change. Now we can go to that user and ask them to roll it back in order to see if we can resolve those events or the failed invocations. Okay. So I want to look at another example. One of the things that we saw in this environment was a spike in 500 errors. So if I look at my application load balancer here, and I scroll down, here I can go ahead and see I had a spike on my production service at around 5:50 a.m. in these 500 errors. So we're going to go ahead and use our root cause explorer to try to identify, this is maybe the canary in the coal mine. So it's telling us that there's a problem, but how do we actually identify what caused this spike in 500 errors? So what I can do is, instead of looking only at ELB, I can go back up to my production account. Actually, let's go to the region. And I'm going to pivot to our events of interest panel. Here I want to look at the last 24 hours. And I'll just quickly explain what this is showing here. So we have time on the bottom. And here on the y-axis, we have the percent deviation from what is normal for each of these events. So what we're doing here is actually monitoring all of the metrics coming in from CloudWatch. And we're creating a baseline for those events, and it's daily and weekly. So we take in seasonality into account for those. And we're able to see, for example, that this EC2 latency event is 5,000% above what it would normally be for the last 20 minutes. What this helps us do is identify these anomalous events without showing all of the other noise that we might see in a system. So you'll notice here that there aren't actually that many anomalous events that we're seeing, and that's 100% by design. Makes it easier to identify, what's actually acting out of the normal across all of the services. And again, that's the other key piece here. This is showing us not just one service, but across all of the various services that we're looking at in AWS. So what I'll do here is open this in the root cause explorer. Oops. Okay, and this will just give me more ability to filter and explore this data. So the first thing I'm going to do is zoom into that time frame that we were interested in. And you'll see here, if I click down through these filters, you can see which events are actually being shown here. So, and across which services. So we have some EC2 events, X-ray, we have an ELB event, and we have a DynamoDB event. So right away, we get a sense of potentially what services were involved in this issue. The one that we were aware of is this one. That's one that's actually happened last. And here we have that 721% drift of the 500 errors on our application load balancer. And if I click on it, it tells me exactly what's happened and why this has shown up in the root cause explorer. So here you can see this is time shifted by 1 day. So the green line is what normally this metric is. And then the blue one is today. So of course, here we have that huge spike in 500 errors. So let's explore some of these other things that happened that might have impacted the load balancer. So here we have EC2, and we're seeing some latency on EC2. And one of the things that's nice is we can keep moving back in time. This is often how we see incidents in production environments where, there's often one thing that starts a problem, and then you see this spike in the number of services that are alerting and telling you that there's a problem. We also see here a host bottleneck event. And then the first thing that happened is actually this DynamoDB bottleneck. And here, once again, we see the time shifted 1 day is normally much lower. And then we have these write throttle events. So this would be something that I want to explore a little bit further. So if I go to the infrastructure tab, let's see. Okay, and then I can go open in, let's see, this is actually not what I want. Okay, so I want to look at AWS DynamoDB. And open in the Entity Explorer. So it's bringing me back to the Explorer tab. But now I'm looking at the AWS DynamoDB overview. And now I can take a little bit deeper look at what the the potential problems were here. So I actually see that I have several different events that occurred. Here were the top events. So we have a describe table, update table, create table, and maybe this update table is actually a little bit concerning here. So I can go ahead and open this event in the search. And you'll notice here that these timestamps are carried over from where I zoomed in the root cause explorer. And the same will be true when I open this up in search. Okay, and then once again, I'm going to go to messages and take a look at the update table event. And we had a few update table events, looked like there were 7, but 7 is actually not that many to have to explore. And I can actually go back to the first one here. What was the first update table event and see who that user was? So it's Ankit, and I can go ahead and reach out to Ankit and see if he can roll that change back to see if that caused the problem. So that's why I would explore from a alerting metric, and especially if there's a lot of services that are giving you alerts at the same time, drill down all the way into how do we identify the root cause and then remediate the issue. Okay. So let's go ahead and jump back to our overview here. So once again, I talked a little bit about what exactly we're ingesting here. We're ingesting data across various AWS services, and that's through CloudWatch and CloudTrail. So for CloudWatch, we're ingesting the logs in metrics, and for CloudTrail, we're ingesting the CloudTrail logs. And as that data comes into Sumo Logic, I talked a little bit about the enrichment, but this is really a key component of how we're able to provide the ability to pivot between the different sets of telemetry. So we're tagging the data with the account, region, namespace, and entity of where it originated in AWS. And that gives us the ability to build that hierarchy so that you can easily navigate through the services in your accounts. And then finally, all of that gets pushed into Sumo Logic and spit out in the various dashboards. And I also mentioned some of the different dashboards that we're providing. We looked at a bunch of them. I didn't go over the alerts, but we also provide out-of-the-box alerts for each of these services. And those are really based in the best practices guides from AWS directly for each of those services. So we already have the threshold set for all of these things. It really saves our customers a ton of time when they're setting this up. And then wanted to just show you how to get started. So we do have a free trial of our enterprise edition of Sumo Logic. You just go to sumologic.com, click free trial. Once you're in the product, all you'll need to do is go to our app catalog. And here we have all of the different apps that we provide out of the box content for. You can just search for AWS. And here is AWS Observability. And so from here, you can preview the dashboards. And also if you click learn more, this takes you directly to the docs to go ahead and get started. And the setup process is extremely simple. We integrate with AWS CloudFormation. So it's literally a UI that you go through and enter your credentials, select the services that you want to send data to Sumo Logic. And then from there, it automatically communicates through the APIs to set up collection in Sumo Logic and at the AWS side. Okay, so now I think that is all I had for us today. I'm going to see if there are any questions. Happy to answer questions around the solution or dive into other parts of the demo if there were outstanding questions. All right, I guess that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining, and definitely follow up. We would Oh, one question someone's asking, so I'll wait for them to type it. Okay, maybe not. All right. A question was compare Sumo Logic with CloudWatch. Definitely. So CloudWatch, we integrate really closely with CloudWatch. And in fact, we rely on CloudWatch metrics. The question is, why use Sumo Logic other than CloudWatch? I would think of Sumo Logic more as an extension. CloudWatch doesn't have many or much at all out-of-the-box content, and they don't provide rolled up visibility into your account or even region or across multiple services. So if you wanted to get that high-level picture, that's where Sumo Logic comes in. It's really the analytics component that takes advantage of the CloudWatch metrics and provides you with all of that out-of-the-box content so that you can quickly get up to speed and also get that high-level visibility. In addition, one of the things that our customers tell us, especially with Root Cause Explorer, is they've seen a 5x increase in the amount of time it takes them to resolve issues using the Sumo Logic solution. And that's just because of the visibility that we're able to provide by giving you the high-level information about the interdependencies of services, what happened first, second, last, and again, the analytics on top of that. So we didn't go deeply into the log solution at this time, but we have a really powerful log analytics solution that can take pages and pages and pages, thousands of pages of logs, and filter them down using our proprietary log reduce functionality to show you what are just those key logs that actually occurred so that you can identify the root cause more quickly. So it's really the analytics component that's really powerful with Sumo Logic. Hopefully that answered your question. All right. Thank you all again. Please join us for our other webinars. We have other webinars covering all of the other solutions as well, or reach out if you have AWS specific questions. Thanks so much.